Ladies and gentlemen, joining me in the studio, he is the driver of the Hy-Vee. Is it number 45?
Yes.
Christian Lundgaard is in the studio with me. Hey, Christian, how we doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. Now, my first question, how did you get hooked up with Hy-Vee? How did you become the driver of the 45?
It's actually a pretty good question because originally I wasn't.
Really?
No, I was in the 30 car for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing, and from 2022 to 2023, we swapped the two drivers that was driving the 45 and the 30 car. So that's how I got introduced to it, and ever since I've been driving the 45 Hy-Vee Honda, and we've had some good results.
Now, when you came in this morning, you said you were from the 2000s and stuff. What's the short version of your story getting to this point in your career? And I know it's probably a really long. There's many facets.
I'm sat here trying to brainstorm how I can say this quickly, but no, my dad used to race, and me and my brother were introduced to go-karts when we were younger, and my brother's 3 years older than me, so he was ahead of time. But to this date, I'm the only one in the family that still races.
So do you brag about being the fastest?
I actually think if I would have to go head to head with my brother, he might actually be able to.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't hear many younger brothers saying that.
No, but I think he was 3 years ahead of me in also in racing, but I think I was a little more lucky in terms of timing, getting the opportunities and having the right results at the right time.
Okay.
And he moved from go-karts to cars nationally, I think a year too early than what he should have. But again, it comes down to budget. What do you have money to really compete in the lower series? And I think he got unlucky with that. But, in the end, it's how it is, right?
Let me ask you this. Is your family at all competitive?
Too competitive. I have the amount of times I've complained about having to talk about racing at dinner where I just want to talk about anything else. Oh, what did you do today? Oh yeah, I tried to race someone to the grocery store. I mean, come on.
Of course, they're going to Hy-Vee, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Perfect. Christian Lundgaard in the studio with me talking about his career and where we're going. So coming up here, July 12th through the 14th, of course, going to be the Indy Car Race Weekend over at the Iowa Speedway in Newton. What do we have now? It's May right now. What do we have leading up to that? What are you going to be doing? We
have a race this weekend at Indy GP at the IMS, and then that's the kind of start for the month of May.
Okay.
And then obviously the 500. Which I think everybody really knows about.
Yes,
it's the one race that we all look forward to going into the year, but it's also the one race that we're all happy is done after, because so much anticipation, so much work, so many efforts goes into this just one event, and we're all just drained. But what's really annoying is we go straight to Detroit, so it's a quick turnaround. And I think everybody is just drained after the month of May. But that's what's the real challenge, because whoever can bounce back for the second half of the season is the most competitive ones.
It sounds kind of like Christmas, wherever you work and work and work to get to Christmas, and then in 10 minutes it's over after everybody opens presents.
Exactly. And then New Year's.
There you go. Perfect.
Exactly.
Christian Lundgaard is in studio with me right now talking about the world of IndyCar. Let's talk about the first time you ever sat in an IndyCar. What was it like? Was there trepidation? Was it, wow, I'm sitting in this thing? What was your first time like?
My first time was I would say a little bit of a chaotic day. It was a test day, I think a couple of days after my 20th birthday, actually, in Barber, Alabama, where it was a test day for me to kind of get familiar with the material, but also looking at a potential seat for the following year. And the test went really well, and on the day I was asked if I wanted to do a race a month later in August.
Really?
Where I showed up and qualified fourth, and everybody was like, "Whoa, how did you do that?" And I'm like, "I don't know." But I tried.
Good answer.
I mean, I tried to do it again some more afterwards, and I think we've had some good results. But it was a very exciting experience, also because the car was very similar to what I used to drive in Europe. The Formula 2 car and the Indy car is built by the same company.
Oh, okay.
Manufacturer Dallara. It's an Italian brand, and so a lot of the parts are actually the same.
Okay.
From one car to another, so it felt like home.
What was the moment it clicked? That it's like, okay, I can do this. I can make a run at this.
I will say I underestimated the challenge when I did my first race.
Really?
I qualified fourth, and I was like, if it's this easy, I'm going to win every race.
I'm the greatest of all time.
I was proven wrong. But again, that's what makes it so exciting, because you go into every race and you know you have a chance.
Yeah.
And I think that's what IndyCar really is compared to any other racing series. So I love being here. I don't really want to be anywhere else.
Well, that's always a good answer. Christian Lundgaard in studio with me. As you do get ready for a race, as you're going through the week, getting into the car, getting ready for the race itself, what's the moment you look forward to? That one little special thing that happens that it's like, all right, it's time.
I think the anticipation of the pit sequences is what's really, really tough mentally.
Okay.
Because it's the one time in the race where you know you can make up a lot of time, but it's also the one place where you know you can lose a lot of time.
Okay.
But that's where the performance and the race is really won. That's the pit sequences.
The pit crews don't get enough credit, right?
They don't. They don't. We always, scream at them when they make a mistake and these kind of things, but it's one big family. And
okay.
I always try to make them feel good, and also make them feel like a family.
Yeah.
Because I invite them to barbecue at my place once a while and engage with them, because in the end I also got to trust that they put the wheels on right and every bolt is tightened right.
Christian didn't serve good ribs this week. Those nuts aren't going to be very tight, are they?
No, but in the end, they have a lot of responsibility, and I think for them also to understand that is super important. But it's all, the more I spend time with them, the more they're also going to do for me, and vice versa. It's this circle, right?
Yeah, it sounds a lot like the relationship between a running back or quarterback and the offensive line.
Exactly.
They're never going to get the credit that they deserve.
I mean, it's a team.
It's a team exactly.
Effort. It's not a one man show. And I think they do everything they do because of passion, and that's what I think we all need to remember. It's not just a paying job.
Oh, it's that, but the skill involved. When they last year, when they did the demonstrations down in Des Moines,
yeah,
they had the pit crews out there.
Yeah, we were actually there.
Oh, were you?
It was us. Yeah.
Okay. But just watching it, I'd been from afar, but seeing it up close, it really is amazing.
Well, what's very interesting about the pit stop specifically, it might take 6 to 7 seconds, but it feels like 25 seconds in the car,
imagine,
because
yeah.
it all feels in slow motion as from the driver's perspective, even though that it all happens so quick. I mean, 6 seconds, it goes by like this. But when you're in the car, you're just sat there and kind of waiting. Everything just slows down, and then suddenly you're gone.
Here's your chance to give the MVP award to somebody on your pit crew. Who would it be?
All of them.
Oh, come on.
I mean, my chief mechanic, Tom, has been with me since my first ever race in IndyCar, but my entire crew has been the same since the 2022 season. So
wow,
it is.
Is that
good
for turnover rate in this line? I don't know.
I mean, it is also because they're used to working together.
Okay,
we've had test days this year where it's been a mix between the 3 cars' crews, because people had to do different things and were doing different jobs and different projects, and it turned into a mess because they aren't used to working together. Specifically on that one car, and different people does the same thing in a different way. It's the same with drivers. When you see, I think Formula One in this aspect is a very good example, because all cars are built different. There's only 2 equal cars, but if one guy comes from one team to another team, the driving style is completely different, and it's the same here for the mechanics. When they go across from different cars, people do it in a different way, even though they might be similar.
What would people say about your driving style? How would they describe you?
I think if I would to describe it myself, I would say I'm the fast calculated driver. I don't jump into uncalculated moves.
So you're more of a chess player when it comes to this stuff. I mean, you're thinking about where things are going to be and that sort of thing?
Like in the middle.
Okay.
It's kind of like I'm not going to jump to a conclusion, but I'm also not just going to lay back and wait.
Okay.
It's kind of I'm in the middle.
And I imagine there are other drivers that are super aggressive, very laid back on how they do all this, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Those are the ones you don't want to be around. Because you never know what the outcome's going to be.
Really, chaos is kind of the equaling factor sometimes. Christian Lundgaard in the studio with me. All right, so as we do get closer to the Indy Car Race Weekend over at the Iowa Speedway, when you go into a race at the Iowa Speedway, what's the setup? What's the kind of feeling with it? Because it is a big event here in the state of Iowa. What's the feeling going into it, and what type of race is it for you guys?
Even though that the 500 is the most important race of the season for everybody, I think Iowa and the Hy-Vee Indy Car Race Weekend is the most important for us because of Hy-Vee being with us and me representing the brand. But I also feel like home whenever I'm in Iowa. And I think that's what's special to me, but also the team. Everything that Hy-Vee does, not just for the team, but the series. They are an extraordinary promoter for the series. And I think every other race promoter needs to learn from Hy-Vee because what they do is the benchmark. It's not the other way around. They've set the benchmark, and they're still improving. But everybody else needs to learn from that. And I think what they're doing to that track in Iowa is what everybody needs to be doing to every race event. And I think it's just the best example of what Hy-Vee really stands for. If you got to do it, you got to do it right.
All right. Race itself, Newton or Iowa Speedway. How do you prepare for this track in regards to other tracks?
I mean, because it's a short oval, we know it's going to be a very entertaining race, which is always good for the fans, but it's also fun for us because it's the fastest short oval racetrack in the world, but at the same time, it's pack racing, and the track is super bumpy, but it's such a short track that the pit sequences, when the leader starts pitting, they might be 2 laps down to you, but then when you pit, then you lose those two laps. And because the track is so short, because the amount of time they spend in the pit lane is what we are going around twice, because it's only 20 seconds a lap. So it makes it super interesting, but also from a strategy standpoint of view, that's what we spend so much time doing, because obviously the car's got to be fast, but we're also going to be on top of the strategy because you can lose the race instantly.
Very true words. Christian Lundgaard in studio with me. I'll let you get out of here. I know you're a busy cat. Thank you so much for taking the time. We'll get all the details on the website. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.